The National Crime Agency are at the forefront of the UK's efforts to seize and remove illegal firearms from the criminal underworld. Working relentlessly, they tackle serious organised crime groups as they attempt to smuggle unlawful guns into the UK, often from Central and Eastern Europe. This is the case of Operation 70.
My name's Chris Farrament. I'm a Deputy Director for Investigations within the National Crime Agency. Firearms are sought by criminal groups either to threaten people as a status symbol or to actually cause damage to other groups or to other individuals. They cause a great deal of harm and they have the potential to really cause chaos on the streets.
In March 2015, the NCA received intelligence based around a particular individual, 26-year-old Harry Schilling. Paul Morris from the NCA Special Operations Unit was part of the team picking up the detail.
So the initial indications from Kent was that Harry Schilling was now taking the lead in a criminal enterprise that was thought to be a smuggling enterprise to happen over the coming weeks and months.
And that was the point at which we started building up the intelligence picture around this particular group. And then we can start deploying things like surveillance teams to build up a more detailed day-to-day picture of what the group's doing, understand their vehicles, understand their contacts, understand their day-to-day patterns.
The evidence that emerged led the NCA to believe that this gang were dangerous and that their intent to bring firearms into the UK was very real.
It's very rare that we manage to get a complete intelligence picture. In fact, it's almost unheard of. And there's usually some big gaping holes, and we try to fill those with other means.
The UK has strict gun laws. That isn't the case in many parts of Europe, where weapons can be sourced, converted ready to fire, and trafficked.
There is a profit to be made from buying at source in near Europe or Eastern Europe, increasing your investment tenfold in the UK. A handgun could actually reach up to £2,500.
If this shipment was imminent, the NCA needed to be one step ahead of the group.
The senior investigating officer, it was his role really to identify what was Harry Schilling doing and to build up ultimately the evidence to ensure Harry Schilling could be stopped and put away for a long time.
Richard Rye was identified as Schilling's lieutenant. David Payne, his transport expert.
It became evident very quickly it was because of his skills, if you like, as a skipper and his knowledge of the waterways. We actually start to observe the preparation of purchasing a yacht, money being handed over to pay for that yacht, the preparation of the yacht, which again exploits the vulnerabilities we have around our marinas and coastline. And that was the method they were choosing, but unluckily for them, we were right on top of them. We could see an acceleration of activity once the yacht was purchased. Harry Schilling was getting closer to his connection with David Payne when he would want to deliver Richard Rye to pass messages.
The gang had no idea that the NCA were monitoring their every move.
The NCA has got access to the highest levels of intrusive techniques. We can deploy eavesdropping devices, we can deploy tracking devices.
10th of August 2015. David Payne appeared to be making the last preparations to leave UK shores on the boat, the Albandina.
We had no control over where in near Europe he was going to land, who he was going to meet, how they were going to load the weapons. So we had to ensure we had enough resources to be able to control any contingency from that point onwards. At that point in time, I worked as part of the firearms command team to ensure we were commanding the resources to be in the right place at the right time.
Surveillance monitored David's movements and picked him travelling onto European soil, Boulogne in northern France, before quickly heading back to the UK via the English Channel.
We have covert firearms teams waiting in the UK who are able now to respond 24/7 in shifts and able to place themselves around the most likely spots that he was going to return to in the UK. Whilst we'd been carrying out surveillance with David Payne, we'd seen him visiting marinas in Dover, been in Sandwich in Kent. He himself lived on a boat near Cuxton, so we had to then consider where he was going to return to with that commodity. When he did return to the UK, he paused at Rochester and berthed the yacht, at which point, obviously, our resources on the ground were ready to take action.
It was unexpected. Why would Payne have left the boat here, unattended with the weapons on board?
From a criminal's point of view, perhaps he's testing to see if there's any interest in the yacht. From a tactical firearms point of view, that's a really useful time to go forward, seize the yacht and whatever is inside it. But then you have the whole of the organised criminal group walking. So it looks like he was probably waiting for next instructions, confirmed he'd arrived, and waiting for the correct tides.
And we're thinking the guns are going direct through here.
We are able to monitor David Payne proceed to Cuxton and moor up virtually alongside his own houseboat.
Firearms operations are always more challenging than more conventional jobs because there is the additional risk posed by the firearm. There is quite a lot of consideration around the best time to catch the group unawares and make it the safest possible environment, first of all for the public, but secondly for our officers.
Stand by.
It's very cat and mouse, and probably talking about 4 covert teams, armed teams, officers who can then take direct action quickly and safely. And so we were able to hold our position and see what played out.
The NCA were in position and ready to strike. After tracking the gang for months, they were within arm's reach. Arrests now looked imminent, but there was no sign of gang leader Harry Schilling, and the NCA still could not be certain that there were firearms in the boat. Operation 70 was about to step up a gear. Coming up.
The threat threshold has been met, and we're ready to take decisive action.
On the 12th of August 2015, the National Crime Agency were engaged in an operation to stop a potential haul of lethal firearms entering the UK. They believed that Harry Schilling, working with a number of known associates, had smuggled the guns in a yacht from France. A team of elite covert officers lay in wait, ready and armed for the gang to make their next move.
If at any point they start to move or unload that vessel, we are in a position to take action.
Stand by, unit 2.
The NCA were hoping that Schilling and Rye would join the rest of the gang at the boat. It didn't happen.
As it plays out, David Payne with his associates start to unload the yacht. At the point they come out from the vessel, it's suitcases, but they are obviously extremely heavy. This is most likely to be firearms. So at that point in time, the threat threshold has been met. Covert plan is in place to take action as soon as that van moves.
Police cameras captured the moment that the specialist firearms officers moved in. Christopher Owen was arrested.
Under the fucking head! Do not move!
Four covert units made up of firearms officers, masked support and a specialist dog unit set about neutralising any risk of imminent danger, whilst not wanting to alert other gang members and compromise the operation. Decisive action was then taken on David Payne. His van was stopped and he was arrested.
When David Payne is arrested, he had absolutely no idea that was going to happen.
Stay where you are!
Payne secured. Now it was imperative to track down Schilling and Rye.
Do not move!
Automatic number plate recognition and eyes on the ground identified their whereabouts.
We were able to redeploy covert armed resources to go and lock on to Harry Schilling. If we arrest him today, it's very likely we'll recover some evidence from his phones.
Word was coming through about the volume of weapons seized from the shipment found in the van.
What was found were 22 reconverted AK-47 type weapons, which is effectively an assault rifle, which is capable of doing a lot of damage, plus 1,000 rounds. The really serious shootings you see around the world, you will see AK-47 type weapons the whole time. They're not easily concealed. They are there really not just to threaten people, but to do damage. And then some smaller Scorpion automatic weapons. They are effectively a mini submachine gun, easily concealed, big magazine, and you can just spray bullets out of it. So there were 9 of those as well, capable of doing a lot of damage.
The size and the importance of this seizure was known at that point, which then adds to the importance of getting the arrest of Harry Schilling correct. We were able to locate Harry Schilling at a DIY store, home base in Orpington.
CCTV footage shows the gang in home base, buying what the NCA believe was a burial kit to hide the weapons.
The guns are in the UK shore, we're going to bury them. We are done and dusted. Absolutely no idea. He'd been under investigation for 5 months, right up to the point that the covert armed officers step out of their vehicles and execute that arrest. Harry Schilling, very used to deploying quite high-level violence, and you look at him in this video and he is virtually in tears and a broken man.
Arrested at the same time as Schilling, a man who identified himself as Michael Dufresne.
We clearly now know that Michael Dufresne was that pathfinder in Europe, and we can be confident about that post-arrest from looking at the handsets that we were seized at all those scenes and at home addresses.
Richard Rye had managed to escape arrest.
The team were able to identify Richard Rye within McDonald's, very close by.
Over the following 24 hours, the NCA were able to secure evidence from Payne's boat, the Albandina, and the group's vehicles. The gang's phones contained text messages they'd shared when they were confident that the guns were safely in the UK.
The messaging shows disregard for the threat he was bringing to the UK with his firearms, celebrating having them on UK mainland, contacting associates and agreeing to sell them and move them on.
The firearms were traced to have come from Slovakia. Some were deactivated weapons that had been ex-military stock.
These firearms, within hours, days, were going to be on the streets being used to enforce organised crime. The Scorpion machine pistols and the CZs that were seized, you know, these are designed for war. They are mass casualty weapons, devastating in a war zone. In the hands of a criminal in a city or any area in the UK would be absolutely catastrophic.
The trial of the gang took place at the Old Bailey.
Harry Schilling and Michael Dufresne remained with not guilty pleas. Their strategy with their defence team was really to distance themselves from those handsets in that car, and even from Schilling's point, trying to lay the blame on Richard Rye as the coordinator. In the courtroom, all the key individuals were together in the dock, and Harry Schilling's attitude was, come and get me if you can, didn't seem to be overfussed about being in the courtroom. We had a number of experts to ensure that the jury and the judge recognised the danger that was caused around these firearms coming into this marketplace.
Schilling was found guilty of conspiring to import and sell firearms in the UK and conspiracy to possess firearms with intent to endanger life. He was sentenced to 30 years with an extended licence period of 5 years. Dufresne was jailed for 27 years with an extended licence period of 5 years. Payne and Rye have both pled guilty to conspiring to import and sell firearms into the UK and conspiracy to possess firearms with intent to endanger life. Payne was given 14 years and 6 months, whilst Rye received 14 years and 3 months, both with an extended licence period of 5 years. Owen was given a 5-year and 4-month sentence.
They were lengthy sentences. This was a very clear attempt to bring in utterly lethal weapons to the streets of the United Kingdom to sell them on for lethal purposes. People would have died as a result of these weapons.
Every one of those knew what they were doing and presented a real danger to the UK. It's really important to bring home the message that if you think you're going to do it, the NCA and partners are behind you. If you're in court, the judiciary are really going to punish you.
The NCA continues to work with their partners overseas to stop weapons moving between countries.
The UK Home Office has worked with partners in Europe to close down those loopholes, and Slovakia have responded really positively. They've changed how individuals in their country can access weapons.
This is the largest mainland seizure of firearms in the UK. This job, although it was significant because of its scale, it is not a one-off. We continue to do these jobs day in, day out, all the way around the year. It is that important to us.
Whether it was drugs historically, whether it's firearms, they are now enabling crime in those areas, which are having a serious effect on the general public. So the work we do at a national and international level ripples out right back to those communities. And that, to me, is the core roles of policing, protecting people so they can live and enjoy their lifestyles.
The NCA are constantly developing their understanding of illegal firearms trafficking and the people involved to disrupt the supply network. The public, too, can help the National Crime Agency to combat this threat by providing information to the police or anonymously to Crime Stoppers. Sadly, so long as there remains a demand for firearms in Britain, the criminal underworld will continue to find the means to meet that demand, and will need the vigilance of the NCA and their partners to keep them out.